Hi, I'm Dennis.
Hey, I'm Peter.
And Peter is my friend from New York, and I'm looking forward to making this video so much because he told all his stereotypes about the Dutch, that the Americans have about the Dutch, and now it's my turn to tell how the Dutch people view the Americans.
I'm nervous.
Are you nervous about it?
A little bit.
Yeah, you should be. I have a whole list of stereotypes, and you can defend yourself and your country.
How are there any stereotypes? America's the best.
I think let's just kick off with that one. No, I want to kick off actually with my number one. First of all, by the way, subscribe to the channel because Tim is not here right now, but Tim and I make videos on culture, travel, Dutch culture, American versus Dutch culture. We have Brenda joining in the fun a lot of the times, so tasting videos and everything.
Oh, those are great.
They have to subscribe. Tell them to subscribe.
Subscribe.
Yes.
You need to just subscribe because otherwise you miss out on stuff. It's nice to get that reminder that things are there and, you know.
So push the subscribe button and hit the like button. Thank you very much. And now I want to start with the biggest, pun intended, stereotype that I have about the Americans, and that is portion size food. You Americans, in my mind, eat so much.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're agreeing with me? This is an easy video.
They do, and I think it's something you don't think about as a kid going to restaurants, but I think when you have people visit, but when you go to other countries, you realize that it's, you know, what constitutes, you know, a dinner here is maybe for a family in other places. And one thing that's interesting is if you go to a restaurant, see, this one I'm agreeing with you with. Maybe some others, maybe not. People, I don't know, do you guys take away like the food that you don't eat at a restaurant?
No.
Yeah, and I don't think the French do either.
No.
Because there's nothing to take home. It's like a normal portion. Yeah. Here it's known like if you're getting mashed potatoes, it's like a big heaping portion and the steak is like 25 ounces and
huge.
It's huge. And I think, but that's at a restaurant, you want to treat yourself. But even at home, you know, we use like a standard, you know, dinner size plate and it's always like a heaping portion of everything and But even in supermarkets, if you buy a orange juice, it's not just a 1 liter or 1.5 liter pack. It's like 5 liter packs. Yeah, but then you would need one for every breakfast.
We don't drink 1.5 liters or 1 liter of orange juice every breakfast.
Cup sizes are very different, aren't they?
Oh, they are hugely different. Here, if you go to the cinema in America and you buy what we a medium drink, you'll get like what we call an extra large drink.
Yeah, and an extra large here. I don't have it in front of me. If we get one, maybe we'll show you. But I would say it's like that big and like this wide. You have to hold 2 hands with it. And you sit there and you have to, if you have popcorn and soda, you can't hold them. But you have to like...
Who drinks 2 liters of soda for one movie?
Well, you could share it if you're with someone.
Yeah, okay, but we would drink like 0.33 centiliters during a movie, or maybe 0.5 liters, but not 2 liters. That's the whole thing. So I'm going to my second stereotype, and this one might be a little bit, you might be a little bit offended, but we as outsiders of America, we see you sometimes as being a little bit ignorant, and I'm not saying it in a really offensive way. I think sometimes, of course, it might be a media thing that people want to portray you as being a little bit ignorant, or also there's so many videos on YouTube like Americans saying dumb things.
Oh, okay, now I got you.
Either about their president.
It's dumb.
No, not dumb, but.
Well, no. The reason I'm saying all those words and things is because I know the stereotype and I've heard it, and I think in America. First of all, what gets attention on the media is because it's funny. Sometimes it's funny to see things like that. I think personally, especially in an area like New York and other parts of the country, even, you know, there are different ranges of people. You know, you have people that are, you know, world travelers, people that stay local. But I think some of that, I think what's happened is the reason you guys see that is because a lot of the television shows, like the Real Housewives and stuff and things like that, people love to watch them. So then that becomes the stereotype of Americans.
Yeah, I think that's what happens.
But here's where I will agree with you. And I think Americans, and we talked about this earlier, but it has to do with the, you know, maybe don't travel outside the United States. When you're in Europe, you're introduced to like 15, you know, 15, see how dumb I am? There's more than 15 countries. But you get to see all different cultures. You're seeing TV from around the world. Americans are very American focused. and they don't get to see other, you know, opinions outside the world.
Yeah, of course, I only chose that word to also get a discussion going. I'm not saying I think everybody is ignorant in America. Of course not. Otherwise, I wouldn't love the country as I do and travel here as much. But yeah,
he's saying this in the beginning of the trip. We have to see. You have to. No, I'm kidding.
It's not my first time here.
No, I'm kidding. But one thing I will say, and this is a stereotype even for Americans. Can I say an American stereotype of America?
Mm-hmm.
We think of the South as more ignorant than the North, and like there's that divide. So when you think of people in the South, and I've lived in the South, and they're actually not ignorant. It's just the way they talk, which is funny. It's very slow, like, "Hi, y'all, how you doing?" And it's like that, you know, and that could be a lawyer. That could be a doctor. It's just the way they talk. It's so different, and it sounds like country, you know.
But because the country is so big, you'll have subcultures in your country as well. And that will have the same impact as we seeing a Belgian or a German person, and we make fun of them. Because they are our neighbors. In your case, it will be neighboring states or neighboring. Yeah, I think I get what that.
Good. It's okay. It's okay. We still like, even though you think we're dumb.
Good. Let's go to one other really, maybe also difficult point to talk about, because I think, at least me as being Dutch, I think everybody in America loves guns and everybody owns a gun. And
well, that's a gun case, being. I'm kidding.
Should I open the cover? Should I check?
No, that's not what that is. No, that is a stereotype, but that is not a stereotype here in New Jersey, New York, the whole Northeast. But in Texas, for example, there are people that carry guns. They drive with them. They carry them all the time. Women have guns in their purses. I think it's a sense of I don't know, people feel safe with them. Yeah. I personally, I don't like guns. I think they should be, you know, police officers should have guns. But it's a big thing that's part of our culture, and that goes actually...
because it is a real issue, right?
It's a real issue.
Gun control is a
gun
main
control
topic.
is a huge issue.
Yeah, it is.
But it's actually, there's, in our Constitution, you know, the Second Amendment says that you can have guns, so people have used that. Yeah. But it becomes, I think this year, here's an interesting thing. There was a newspaper article about how many shootings we had, and it said like 200, and I was like, oh, that must be like 5. It was this year, and it was like a few months, and it's just the thing. And how many school shootings have there been in the Netherlands this year? None, because there's gun control.
Yes. Well, there are no guns. It's not allowed.
Yeah, here you can not. I don't think in New York and New Jersey, but like you can go into Walmart and buy a gun.
It's so crazy in my head. Yeah. Of course, I understand that it's so ingrained in your culture that you can't go from 0 to 100 in one.
But I think here, like in New York, in New Jersey, like you can. Yeah. Like we're there. We're more similar to the Netherlands.
Okay,
but
that's good.
Yeah.
But you do agree that in the Western views, or at least the European views, the best way would be just to cut off the guns completely. I know that's not a possibility right now for America.
Oh, I think it should be.
It should be, but I don't think...
But we're talking about American stereotypes, and maybe my kind of thought is not the same, so I think it would be hard for this country.
It would be super hard. But it would be nice to take a first step, and then maybe in a few years...
Yeah, like banning assault rifles.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even get why people should be allowed to carry around or to own assault rifles.
Well, here's what I say. Did you ever see Bugs Bunny?
Yeah.
And do you know who Elmer Fudd is?
Yeah.
I said that if you're going to have anything and you want to protect your house, an Elmer Fudd gun with like 2 little things, like maybe if someone comes to your house that you can't conceal. I think that's the issue when you have like a gun that, you know, like if you want to protect or you go hunting, fine, you know, that's part of culture, but there's a difference between that and like, you know...
Or get a dog.
Yeah.
We have rabbits to protect our house. Okay, let's move to a less sensitive topic. Patriotic. I think the Americans are very patriotic. Is it sensitive? You're laughing.
Well, it's true, but it's funny. I sometimes make fun of it, but I am too. You know, it's like, one thing that I found is the Americans love their flag.
That's what I was going to say.
You drive around, and it's not 4th of July, it's winter.
People have their flags out every time. In the Netherlands, we never have our flags out.
Have you ever seen a huge, like, there's one that I have, it has to be the size of, like, I don't know, like a 10-story building, there's flags sometimes. It's something that Americans are very, very patriotic. Yeah. When, like, we have our national anthem, I don't know, like, in other countries, and maybe in England.
Yeah, we have them. We have an anthem.
But every event, everyone stands, salutes.
It's
very... Yeah. I think it's something that may be different than other cultures, but I also think that, I don't know, there's a sense of pride and patriotism.
I think it's nice that you are proud of your country because you can be, but in the way the Dutch people view the Americans, it is a little bit too much. I don't think it's harmful. We just see it as being a little bit weird because the Dutch.
So it stands out to you.
Yeah, the Dutch are not like that at all. But this is a Dutch versus American thing, because I think if you are British or French, those are also very patriotic countries. Ooh, this is a difficult topic as well. It's quite a difficult video, this, isn't it? It's quite a heavy topic.
That's good though, but some of them I agree with, some of them,
it's fine. And of course I'm polarizing them.
He's going to wake up tomorrow, there's going to be more American flags in his room. There's going to be 1,000 of them.
Yeah. We had an American flag in our breakfast this morning. No, the next one is racism. We in the Netherlands, of course we have racism as well in the Netherlands and discrimination, but it's not something that is in our culture or in our past that heavily. And if I look at the American culture, I see racism as still being very, very there.
Well, I think I could speak to that. I think it's something that, you see a lot in the news, and it's something that is a cultural issue that we're dealing with in America. What I personally think is... Look at New York, for example. There's definitely stories of racism, but I always say, look at Manhattan and all of New York. 8 million people, all different cultures and countries that are together. And it works. Everyone, it just works. Yeah. But there's still, and I think there's different ranges of it. One thing that I say is that, I try to be, everyone should have an open mind, obviously.
Yes, definitely.
But it's knowing your biases.
Yeah.
Biases? I don't know.
I think it's more that we think that Americans are super sensitive about it, that you are so politically correct in the way you talk about all the different ethnicities. It's such an issue that the way you're supposed to talk about it, and we are not as sensitive about it. And that's maybe also the difference.
And I think there's a reason for that. I think and I don't know, I've never been to the Netherlands, but I imagine it is there's some diversity, but it's a little more homogenous, meaning there's, here you almost, I think it's good to be that sensitive because there's so many, there are so many languages spoken in New York, you don't want to offend anyone.
No, exactly. I think it's good, it's just that we see it as being too sensitive.
There is a lot of people that and who vote in different things where there is racism and it's not just black and white. Sometimes it has to do with because we border Mexico and people talk about the wall. Yeah. So I'm not the best person to talk about this, but I do see it and it does exist.
No, yeah.
So it sometimes can get very dirty and ugly. But I do my best to try and not scream at someone, but just kind of guide the conversation to learn. Because I think it's important to ask questions and say oh, what makes you think that this X person doesn't do this, and then you start to get tempted. You're like, oh no, they're similar because we're all humans.
We're all the same inside. It's the truth. Look it up. So let's steer away from the political topics a little bit. I think, or at least in our opinion, the way the Dutch see the Americans, that you are very loud and shrill, like
what?
Like that.
Well, it's true, and I'm. Interesting because I know on this trip to America you might meet some of my family and stuff, and I think being American and Italian, you put the two together, Italian American. Oh yeah, maybe get little earplugs.
I speak with earplugs, so
we're very loud, and I noticed it when I visit Europe actually. And let's say it was funny. I saw a cruise ship pull in, and I remember. And I think of the Dutch, and Europeans, just very modest and quiet. And the Americans, where can I get that? Yelling, where's this? Where's that? And I think personally, I'm definitely louder than a European, but not as loud as most Americans. Maybe I'm in the middle. But we're loud. It's animated, I think is a good word.
Yeah, that's nice. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that sticks out.
Yeah.
But this is, I think, the whole message of making this video is about respect and about investigating other cultures and why the cultural differences exist. And that's the nice discussion that you can have, and that's why we filmed this, because we like discussing cultural differences. Yeah. And I think that is always a good thing, to discuss it respectfully. Another small last thing that I think that the Dutch people see as a stereotype for the Americans is that you're a little bit paranoid. In a tin or something, it mentions with big letters, "Be careful, could be hot," or
Well, you know the story about the hot coffee cup, right?
No.
Well, there was a woman, I think it was a woman or a man, that was driving through the McDonald's drive-thru, and they had a cup of coffee that they decided that they put between their legs while they were driving, and instead of putting it in the cup holder, they drove around with it, and it burned their nether regions.
But they chose to put it there themselves.
I know. And I think that's where that culture comes in.
They sued McDonald's now.
Oh, and they got a lot of money, I think.
No way.
I don't know if they got appealed or whatever.
That would never happen.
But that's why you see things. When you see warnings like that, it's because... And there's also a very... there's some health conscious, too, but there's a lot of public interest groups in this country. Like in California, they have what's called Proposition 65. And what it is it requires, like, it will say this product contains... materials that may cause cancer. So you see different things across this country. So I think that has a lot to do. That didn't exist 20 years ago. I think it's because of the internet. And those stories become popular, and Americans like really think like, oh, I should do this. We're like a fad country. Like we like to think like, oh, this is the best diet. But it goes to some of those health things, like, oh, we're going to avoid this. And a lot of it is true. Like, so it is dangerous, some of these things. But,
I think it is really crazy, coming back to that coffee story, that somebody puts the coffee in between their legs, and because they did it, then they get burned, and then they sue McDonald's.
That would be a good STUFR. We could try that to see if you...
if we can get some money out of McDonald's.
No, not to sue them, for you to drive with a coffee cup, and we'll see if it can spill.
No, we don't.
But I think, like, as an American, like, sometimes you think, like, oh... Like, you'll see different... Like, at a supermarket, there's bars, so people don't walk into the street. Things like that. Like, there's things that the companies think of, like, I might get sued, so what should I do?
It sounds like we have this term now in the Netherlands about curling parents. That, like, curling, the sport where you have to, like, brush and then the thing goes on the ice.
That's so elegant, isn't it?
It's a really elegant, but this, like, people paving the way or making sure that nobody gets hurt. And it's also a way of being overprotective of your country and your people. If they decide to run into the street, it's their decision. Or if they put a cup in between their legs, it's their decision. So yeah, there you have it. A lot of stereotypes. I actually kind of like talking about this.
Yeah, I learned
because it was nice. It's all done in a respectful way and comparing.
And I did some self-reflection too, and it'd be interesting. I think as you're in America, we can kind of see some of them, and you could even bring them up. I'm happy to talk about them.
I like that. So let us know in the comments down below. Do you agree with everything, or do you?
Yeah, that would be interesting. Other Americans, like, am I way off? Like, what do you think? Or there's another one?
I mean, of course, it's only our opinion, but it is, of course, based on some things that you hear about people talking about the Americans. And so please leave a comment. Do you agree with us? Do you don't agree with us? We'd love to hear you give your opinion. And don't forget to like this video and watch our other videos, because there's also a video in which he tells his stereotypes about the Dutch culture. So watch that video as well, it's quite funny.
Clogs cheese.
Yeah. See you soon. Thanks for watching. And thanks for joining me, Peter.
Oh, this is great.